Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting Vobes One-Eyed Kenobi Showbie on the 31st of March 2020. I got a snazzy jacket on again. I wore this about a couple of months ago when I was doing the show, and I thought, you know what, I'll wear it again, just because, mainly because it's cold in the studio. It's getting cooler in the evenings, don't know quite why that should be. We've had such lovely sun, but all the heat seems to go out of the stratosphere. However, here we are. And we're in the studio, so I thought I'd dazzle you, ladies and gentlemen, with my snazzy jacket, which, as you can see, is actually far too big for me. I have lost weight since I originally bought this thing, which must have been 10 years ago, I imagine. It hasn't really had a lot of use, but hey-ho. Anyway, welcome along. It's Tuesday, 31st of March, 2020. It's lovely. It's 8 o'clock in the UK. British summertime, one should point out. British summertime, of course. Very important. And another down here in Worthing, another sunny, pretty much a sunny day. Well, we had a bit of cloud and a little chill wind still in there. But anyway, that's what we've got. So let's go and see who our participants are in today's show. We have a whole load of people joining all the time, basically, 36 so far, which is absolutely superb. We've got Nature's Beauty. Hello to you, Nature's Beauty. We've got Andy Frierson. We've got Andy Stacey. We've got Audrey Forbes Hamilton. There's David Hawkins, Ed Loud, Ernie, Finley Allen, Judith, the lovely Julia, of course, with the special wrench. Nearly said spanner then, but there's a special wrench to make sure everything's all right. Les Jarvis, Linda Kay, Mark Denny McLeod, Mike Dixon, Mike Stevens, Mr. Connell, Nigel Sadler, Robert Brailsford. Hello to you. I guess Mary's out there as well. Roy Ballinger, Terry Carlane, Wendy Lowry, and no doubt people have joined sneaking in as I was doing the reading out. So that was good. Andrew Norris, yes, there we are. Ian Beddoes, Judith, fantastic. Welcome along, all of you, and anybody else who's just popping in. It's lovely to see you. We've got the comments up so you can, of course, call in. We have 7 videos in tonight's ridiculous. We have 7 videos. Do you know what I thought? I thought people would, get sick and tired of making their videos, that it would wane, that it would be an effort to keep the creativity going. But I guess you've all got nothing else better to do with yourselves. So fantastic. We've got 7 videos, so we will plumb on for those. We also have our phone calls, so hopefully people will ring 0793 474 6790. But I guess it depends what we're talking about. This is the second week now in the lockdown. And, people have, I suppose you're getting a routine, aren't you? People are getting an idea of what their day is going to be. But I want to know, who is out there actually working from home? Who is actually working? There's a lot of us who are sort of, dossing about going, I wish I was at work. But who is working at home and what are you doing? That's what I want to find out tonight. Who is working at home and what are you doing? Tim Williams says, hi, Richard and everyone. Hello to you, Tim. Nature's Beauty, hello to you. Ed Loud is saying, hello, Nature's Beauty. Good evening, says Ron Langley. Down at the bottom here, Mike Dixon says, is that your Henley Regatta blazer? Very posh. I lived in the beautiful Henley-on-Thames for 2 years. Did you, Mike? What a lovely place to live. I did actually once go to the regatta when it was on once. I was dressed as a space alien. I was there to entertain. They didn't really understand what I was doing because it was a bit bizarre, but, we were sort of out of place, really. Looking good, Richard, says the lovely Julia. I must admit, I would really like to buy you a new jacket sometimes, a properly fitting one. Yes, I know these jackets are... I've got 2 jumpers on and I've got this jacket. That's mainly because this back room doesn't really have a lot of heating in it. I have got a heater behind me, but I always seem to turn it on at the last minute, and it's one of those oil-filled ones that takes quite a while to sort of get going, and then once it's going... The kitchen, of course, is the warmest room in the house because I've got my Essie Ironheart, which I've chucked in a lot of logs, but I'm trying to be spare with the logs because not knowing how long this lockdown is, I'm hoping that the log merchants will still be working... selling wood, because if they're not, I'm going to get very cold very soon. So that would be a bit of a cruel thing to happen. So Nigel Sadler says, you are the commercial break tonight between the video. Yes, that's it. I'm just the link man now. Just the link man. Tim Williams says, it's a 2-hour show. It might well end up a bit like that. Graham Whittington says, evening all. Hello, Graham. Thank you for your ducks, by the way. Thank you for your ducks. David Hawkins says, I'm on annual leave for a couple of weeks, but would normally be working from home. Yes, of course, tragic circumstances, I imagine, have given you the time off. And, of course, we're very sorry about that. But, yeah, what would you be doing? I'd be interested to know. Give us a call, 0793 4746970. If you work from home, we want to know, what are you doing? And are you able to work easily from home if the rest of the family is all around you? Or what do you do? Can you work at different times? Do you shunt everybody in a different room? Do you have a home office? How is it working for you? If you normally work at home, that would be interesting. But if you had to work at home, how are you coping and what do you do? What is your routine? David Hawkins says, apparently I've been designated as a key worker. I can't imagine why. Finley Allen says, Richard, you need to start selling the Vobes Show merchandise. I will. I need to get some Vobes Show merchandise. That's maybe some cups or stickers that you have on the back of the cup. Trouble is, of course, you can't go down to the post office and post anything at the moment. Well, at least I don't suppose you can. Or maybe you can. Maybe you are allowed to go. But who would want to get into a queue at the post office? On one of my early morning walks when I was filming, I was watching at the little takeaway Tesco, not takeaway, but the little, whatever the small Tesco's are called. I rarely go into a Tesco's, but the small Tesco's, whatever they're called, people are queuing at 6 feet from each other, and there's an assistant at the door letting one in, one out, and people are out on the street. I mean, it's all right in the sort of lovely weather that we've been having recently, but if it was pouring with rain, I wonder what would happen. And that's one of the little, the sort of, what do you call them, little local stores. Spectrum is green, hello to you. Evening Flu Tube viewers, very good, I like that. Nigel Sadler says, indeed, Julia. Oh, that is what I mean, says Nigel, missed that. Steely Chase, here and there. Hello to you, here and there, Steely Chase. Philip Express, oh yes, that's right, Express, that's what they're called. David Hawkins, post office round here open as normal, but are you able to go in the post office? Oh, around here is normal. Oh, is it? That's interesting. Does anyone know if the banks are open? If anyone knows that, because somebody is sending me a cheque, which is very nice, but I suddenly thought they said, oh, we want to pay you. I don't want to use PayPal. Can I send you a cheque? I said, yes, of course, send me a cheque. I told them who to make it out payable to, gave them my address, and then I thought, I wonder if the banks are actually open to put the cheque in, or I wonder if there's a post address that I can send the cheque to. Does anybody know what you would do in that situation? I'd be very pleased if you could tell me. Mark Dolly McLeod says, I've been to said post office and posted a parcel for eBay buyer, so yes, they are working. What was that experience like? Give us a call on 0793 4746 790. That would be good. I had a letter plopped through my door, ladies and gentlemen, today. Here it is. This came through my door for the attention of Mr. Richard Vobes, the Bald Explorer. And on the back, it says there, hope this finds you. And I heard the letterbox go, and someone shoved something through my door, and I immediately, went and opened the door to see who it was, because I saw it was a letter. And there was a very lovely lady was standing outside on the pavement, perfectly respectable distance and what have you. And she said, oh, it is you. You do live there. She wasn't sure. And she had worked out from my videos where I live in Worthing. And she said, I'm not a patron because I don't now understand how to become a patron, but I've got you a card and there's a little something in it for you. And I said, oh, that's so kind. How nice. People have been so lovely. And I really appreciate it. So I thought, I won't open it at home. Well, I am opening it at home. I won't open it there and then. I'll save it for the show. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to share it with you. Of course, it may be a completely highly embarrassingly personal love letter, for all I know. which will be interesting. I'm just trying to find... So I'm going to open this here on the show, and we'll see how it goes. So here it is. Look. Hopes this finds you, it says. So let's open that up. It's very kind. People have been, as I say, have been so kind. So there's a card. Look at this. Here we go. Look at that. And it's got thank you on it. Isn't that nice? Oh, my. Oh, my. Look. There is some cash. Thank you very much. Let's find out what it says on the card here. It says, to the lovely Richard. Oh, isn't that nice? Thank you so much for all your hard work and keeping us all going in these hard times. I watch all your videos on YouTube, but I can't subscribe as being pressing a button. I am completely... Hang on, I need to lower my glasses so I can read. But can't subscribe as beyond pressing a button. I'm completely technology illiterate. Oh, bless. Spelling... not good either. Neither is mine. I rely on spell check. So enclosing £10 cash to help you out. Hope it's gone to the right door. Yes, well, of course, imagine putting that into the... If you put it in my neighbour's house, well, that side, there's nobody in there. It's up for sale. That side, the lady still lives there, but it's still up for sale. Keep up the good work. Love all your banter. Keep well and take care from Elaine. Then it says OAP. OAP. And then on the other side, here's a message to the lovely Julia. Says, hello to the lovely Julia and Jojo. Often smiled at you and Jojo, as currently he is like the bald explorer in miniature. Oh, bless. However, next time we see him, he'll probably have long hair and a beard due to the lockdown. Oh, thank you so much, Elaine. That's so kind of you. Look at that. Isn't that nice? I don't know if that's hitting the light too strongly. Let me do this. Bing. There we go. You can see that better there. Thank you so much, Elaine. That's really... Isn't that lovely? That's really nice. I'm going to put that Pride of Place. Hang on. Where's Pride of Place? Over here. Bear with me, lovelies. Bear with me. I'm going to put it just there. There we go. Oh, I'm now blocking it. I'll try and find a better place for it. Thank you so much. That's so kind. And of course, thank you so much for the cash. Isn't that lovely? That is just so lovely. Right, I think nobody's called in, so we'll go straight to a video, I think. Before we do that, let me just quickly have a look at the comments there. Veg Grower Podcast says, what is this mythical item called a cheque? Ah, yes, you see, these millennials, they don't know what these old ways are. Post office and banks are open, although some reduced hours. Your bank should have been in contact. Maybe it does. I never read what my bank says because they're usually saying you're overdrawn. David Hawkins says the banks are closed. Oh, right. Cheques are valid for 6 months, so could wait till they're open again. That's true. If we're still around here in 6 months. Ian Beddoes says, went to the butcher's this week for the food shop, which is opposite my old shop, which is now the post office. No distancing in there this morning. Oh, my goodness, really? That's interesting. I'm working from home, says Les Jarvis. At this time, I do have a home office stroke workshop. And Linda Kane says, I posted 3 parcels. Linda, you should call in. You should call in, Linda. I want to find out about the post office and the regime and how it's working. 0793 4746 970. Cost you £25,000 to make that call. It is rerouted across 3 different continents, and it goes through a bed of nails to ensure that no nasty diseases go through. We're going to go and have a look at a video now, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go and check out the videos. Here they are. And in the video box... Hello, my camera's disappeared. I don't know why my camera has disappeared. Is that... It's gone. It's gone. Where is the camera? Here it is. There we go. I wonder why that switches itself off every time. Anyway, not to worry. Our first video for the evening, ladies and gentlemen, is a garden tour. A garden tour by the lovely Dave Ford in his rather palatial house and garden. This could be on house and gardens in the country. It really should. So let's have a look at Dave Ford in his garden.
Hello, Richard. Hello, all Vobonauts. Dave here with an update on day 9, I think, isn't it? how you're coping with this lockdown. You can see I'm struggling. I've reached for emergency supplies. My Olivia Newton-John CD to keep me going. So I'm going to give you a little tour of the garden, because it's Logan and I haven't been able to get out onto the New Forest because it involves a 10-minute car journey, so we're having to make do with trips to the recreation ground, which is about a 5-minute walk from here, and even then we just do 2 laps there, and I'm doing that at 5:45 in the morning so that we've got it to ourselves. Right, let me give you a quick tour of the garden. Oh, so what have I got here? This is on the southern side. Little laurel bush there, Pycanthra, little acer, a dogwood which I've cut back, and I love these. These are, I think they're what, fritillary lanterns, ever so delicate, and they like damp conditions. They don't hang around for too long, unfortunately. And then let's look on the old patio, just spring bulbs, sort of daffodils and tulips beginning to come through. And I'm just going down the side here. It does look a little bit bare at the moment because I tend to put annuals out here, although this little patch here will eventually come out with some lovely Rebeckias, which are really bright and cheery, but they'll be sort of August time. The grass looks a bit rough at the moment. We've got a clay soil here, so from, well, October through to February you can't really walk on it, so it's only just had its first cut. I'll have a look at the rose bed here. Of course, roses love clay soil. And a nice little camellia in the corner there. And this morning I put out my sweet peas. So these were sown way back in October and kept inside the greenhouse. And you can see they're about 2 foot tall. And same over here. They're quite hardy, which is just as well, because we've still got some very cold mornings at the moment. So hope you're managing to find plenty to do. Back to you in the studio.
Well, how about that, ladies and gentlemen? That to me, that's I just noticed there. David Keel says, "Nice little garden." To me, that's a palatial garden compared to my little patch, which is about 6 foot by 4, so it's not very big. The beautiful garden. There's the garden that goes on, the garden that keeps giving. How marvellous is that? That's fantastic. Now, if I do this, do I get back to the studio? Yes, I do. There we go. Oh, yes. I was slightly worried when I press these buttons that something else is going to happen. Now, let's thank you very much for that video. Anybody want to send me in what they've got? We can do gardening queries on this show because there's enough experts out there who know the answers. I haven't a clue, of course, no idea. Now, Claire Leach said something fascinating and rather worrying. Claire said, I went to work today and I have no face mask. I'm a home carer. I find it really bad that Tesco workers have face masks, yet my company does not have enough PPE. We all been hearing about PPE. We used to think that PPE was one of those overpayment things that the banks used to give, but no, it's personal protection equipment. And Claire, that is terrible that you've had to go there because, it's working both ways, isn't it? You could catch something or you could pass something on. And when you're a care worker, you're intimate with people. I know what it's like having looked after my father when he had dementia. There's no way you can stay 2 meters from them because you have to do, some very unpleasant services, personal services for them, which they can't do themselves. So my heart goes out to you there. And you really need to, I guess it's a very difficult position because if you nag and moan at them, they won't give you the work and you need the money. but at the same time, you don't want to get the virus. It's an impossible situation, and I feel for you. But thank you for sharing that. If Judith says you can pay checks in at most cash machines, yes, I do tend to do that. If I get a check, I usually go to a machine. I think with my bank, they're all on the inside, but at least you can go in and I can walk to the bank, put the thing in, come home, don't touch my face, wash my hands, and carry a bacterial wipe in my pocket or something. So that's good. Ernie, Richard, I'm working from home designing publications for large pharmaceutical companies. There will not be a vaccine cure for this virus this year or the next. If there is, then trouble afoot. Ernie, you should ring in and tell us a little bit more about that. And Mike Dixon, I'd be interested if you were to call. I mean, don't feel you have to by any means of the imagination, but to tell me about your where are you? Your cognitive stimulation therapy groups, and how, that sort of thing, and tell us, because you're often saying how useful the videos that I make are for people's mental health. It would be interesting to hear from you. 0793 4746 790 is the number. It'd be lovely to hear from a few people. Robert Croce is commenting on my jacket, saying that Three Men in a Boat is the novel from Jerome K. Jerome. Yes, that's very true. I just need the boater to go on. It's a brilliant book. I've read Jerome K. Jerome's Three Men in a Boat. Fantastic. A bit of Victorian literature, which is very nice. And a lot of praise for Dave for his film. Thank you very much, Dave. That's very good. Mike Stevens says vaccine. They've already found an antidote. Have they? They've already found an antidote. I was listening to somebody who was saying that what they need to do is to find something which inhibits the docking of the virus onto the cellular walls that have the little docking stations. They described it as a space station, and a docking into a rocket docking into a space station. So that would be good. Joe Currid, hello to you, Joe Currid, if that's how you pronounce it. I apologise if I've got it wrong. Who says, and it's just jumped up, where are you, Joe, who Banks, where I live, let one person in at a time. Well, that's fair enough. I may have to venture down. We've got a phone call coming in. Let's find out who that is on the phone line. Hello to you. Joe Currid, if that's how you pronounce it.
Hello.
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 Hello, Mike.
It's Mike Dixon.
Hello, Mike. How are you?
Yeah, not bad at all, thank God. Still alive. A bit scared this morning in Tesco's. It all seemed very scary,
Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, it was just the Tesco's in New Church Road in Hove, and they had us. It was all very well organised, but they had us all lined up, and it just seemed very, very scary. Nobody was talking to anybody. It's just a
fearful atmosphere.
Yeah, weird. Like, oh God, like we've been invaded. It's like, it's just weird that this kind of virus has affected. We're the fifth richest economy on earth.
Yes.
And the whole place, nobody was talking to anybody. They all looked very scared, like I was. And you just think, it's been brought down to this really basic level. By a virus.
By a virus, yes. Respecter of no person's, no status, whether you're rich, poor, whatever. I guess your only hope is that you are of reasonable health. Although I was hearing reports today that some younger people who are alleged to be in good health had caught it very badly.
Yeah, that's the scary bit. And like some of these doctors in China, I think there was a hospital director. They're in their like late 20s, early 30s, and they died. And then recently, this ear, nose, and throat consultant, here in the UK, that recently died. And I think he was in his 50s or something. But you think as a consultant, he'd be very fit and healthy, eating a healthy diet, not smoking, and all the rest of it, and he still died,
Well,
that's quite scary.
I spoke to my sister yesterday. She's a nurse, and she's down in Devon. They've got one patient, and the patient's just come in with COVID. I mean, they've got other patients, obviously, but the one patient with COVID-19, And she said to me, this is the first patient came in. She's got to go and deal, be on the ward and will be having to deal with them. She hasn't got the right PPE. So she was very worried and frustrated. But then she told me a very worrying rumour, and I stress this is a rumour. She said that it may happen that they will close A&E to all people if they're overwhelmed, to just deal with the virus. So if you've chopped your leg off by accident, tough.
God.
Which she said, don't quote me on it. So I've obviously just quoted her. She said it is a rumour. I can't see that actually happening, but it's, there's so much misinformation. There's so much mixture of information. Everyone's trying to get a grip of it.
Yeah. I think, I even heard that, yesterday, the World Health Organization has advised that people only listen to the news and on some official channel like the BBC or the World Health Organization or the NHS once a day.
Right. Well,
which actually I think makes good sense psychologically, because if people are sitting, absorbing things online or on the telly, on the radio or in newspapers, because it's all doom and gloom, because it's all, I think you said the other day, it's all very sensationalised.
It is.
And they're usually trying to frighten the shit out of us,
I think you're absolutely right. That if you listen to this, and we're all trying to work out what is the truth, and we're bombarded with different versions of it. And I guess the mainstream media are trying to give you a message, which I guess broadly endorses the government's message. And other people are trying to find loopholes in the government's message. And there is an instinct, I think, with most people not to completely trust mainstream messages, because there's usually a bias of some description behind it. So it's very confusing.
Yeah. I did recently complain to rang the BBC, their complaints line, and I thought I was a complete crazy. But I just having worked in mental health for 43 years until I retired.
Yes.
I said all this kind of doom and gloom and sensationalism. I said we know that the impact on the nation's mental health is going to be massive. And some of my colleagues in the mental health services, are actually saying that, the mental health impact could result in more deaths than actually the virus itself.
Really?
And it was just a weird, as I say, for me walking around Tesco's in Hoe today, I actually felt really low, quite scared, just walking. I said to the actual young lady that was the cashier, she was, clocking up all my items. And I said to her, the impact on elderly people must be devastating to actually, deal with this and understand it. It is a shocking experience,
Well, I think the elderly have enough worries about, health issues as they're getting older anyway. And knowing that they've got various things they've got pills for, they need to go and get prescriptions for, or have people come in for. It must be, and a lot of them are on their own and isolated, and now can't even go out and do some basic exercise for fear of accidentally bumping into someone or falling over and somebody, a stranger, picking you up.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought about that the other day, because there was a bit of a ruckus going on, and I thought, if somebody falls over in front of me or has an accident, what would you do? You just look at them and go, "Oh, sorry, mate, I can't help you. I can't touch you."
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. On a positive note, I was going around. I got some daffodils for our home, because I think it's important. Even the research.
Whip them out somebody's garden, did you?
Sorry, I didn't dig them up. I didn't dig them up. No, good old Mr. Tesco's again. Anyway, got a couple of bunches for us to cheer up our home.
That's nice.
But there is research, mental health-wise, to say that even a bunch of flowers boosts your happy chemicals. But anyway, opposite us, we've got an elderly couple, well, reasonably in their 70s, Bruce and his wife, Kath. Anyway, I popped round 2 bunches of daffodils and just left them on their inside doorstep, and they saw me cycling away, and they came out, and they were well chuffed,
Oh, bless you. That's so nice.
Yeah, I'll give them. I thought, it'll give them a bit of cheer, if nothing else, and they'll last for about a week or so. So hopefully,
Well, they will. They will unless they get the bacteria spray out and give them a good dose, and then they just wilt away.
Yeah, crazy. But what Helen and I are doing on a Monday, we run these.
Yes.
I texted in earlier. It's called cognitive stimulation therapy.
Cognitive, yeah.
Yeah, it's for people with newly diagnosed early dementia.
Right.
So it isn't for people with quite severe dementia.
No.
But it's approved by NICE, the National Institute of Clinical Excellence.
Yes.
For newly diagnosed and milder people with dementia. And what we do it as normally face to face in a group of about 6 carers and their loved ones. And we do a whole load of activities over a period of about 7 weeks for an hour and a half. We do 2 groups on a Crawley in Crawley on a Monday. We do one at the Crawley Museum, which is you rent a room there, and then that's funded by the Crawley Dementia Alliance, big organisation over in the Crawley area. And then in the afternoon we go and do exactly the same up at East Surrey Hospital in Redhill.
So I mean, I imagine that this works very well when you are face to face in front of people and you've got that personal one-to-one.
Yeah.
How is it going when you've got to do this digitally, and how do you do it?
Well, all we're doing, because the one option, the hospital one, they've actually put that on hold,
right?
Because obviously they don't want people like us coming into the hospital.
No, of course.
And they don't want to apparently be moving patients from one area, one ward to the other to come to our group.
Yes.
But what we have done in the Crawley one is, rather than stopping it altogether, Helen and I decided we would carry on posting the materials. So we photocopy, bits that we're going to be doing. We normally send them like a word quiz and today in history, and then we actually every Monday we phone them. So each the carer and the cared for have a slot in our diary. So we ring them for about half an hour.
Yes, blimey.
Chat to both the carer and the cared for, and go through what we sent them, how they got on. So the session this week, believe it or not, was looking at holidays and travel. So we get them to just. And the whole idea of this cognitive stimulation therapy is designed by University College in London, and we were recently up there meeting a whole lot of their top knobs. And the idea is very much this neuroplasticity to stimulate the brain.
Right.
So for all of us, it's either the basic principle is use it or lose it.
So even if you don't have dementia or anything like that, this is still, vital to people, that they fire up their neuroplasticity.
Yeah. It stimulates all the neurons of the brain.
Yeah.
It's got to be something you enjoy. So even like what you're doing on, you're going out, with the Bold Explorer and your Vobes show and all the other bits and pieces you do, that's stimulating your brain, but it's equally stimulating the brains of the people who are watching, are listening and taking part.
Right.
It's got to be something you enjoy.
Yes.
Because if you don't enjoy it, it's a bit like years ago at school, if you had a really boring, kind of teacher or lecturer, you walked out and you couldn't remember any of it. But if it was interactive and fun, and then you came away and enjoyed it.
Yes.
So that's what we do with these sessions. That's what it's based on. And then over, as I say, about 7 or 8 weeks, we do this. So this one was looking at holidays. So it's much getting the person, particularly focusing on the person with dementia, but looking at holidays they'd had in the past, where they enjoyed, and equally looking at the holidays they didn't enjoy, and like it could have been a wet and horrible week, or the tent collapsed, or it was a horrible hotel. And actually, we think that those kind of those memories are easy, but actually the research from University College London is that takes a lot of mental stimulation to
pull out
bring up those memories.
Right. Oh, okay.
And then, next week we're doing food. So we're going to get them to. We've asked them to look at the foods they do like, the foods they don't like, and then what they're going to do with their. In most cases, it's the wife is the carer looking after the husband.
Yes.
And then what they're going to do is decide what they want to cook. So between now and next week, they'll cook maybe a cake or some cookies or cupcakes. So we very much want the person with dementia, breaking the egg,
yes,
putting
of course,
the milk in the bowl and mixing it and then putting it in the oven. And then hopefully when we ring them next Monday for their individual slots, half-hour slot, then they can taste the food. And then, that gets all their, and again, it's thinking about what they do like. And I
Yes.
always say that, I love Marmite, and Helen, my wife, she hates it.
Yes.
But again, that simple decision, deciding whether you love it or hate it, actually you think it's very simple, but it actually, it takes a lot of mental effort. And really, this cognitive stimulation therapy is, it's very much like a physiotherapy for the brain.
Yes. Well, it sounds to me like this is the sort of thing that a number of people, even if they're not suffering from dementia and they're ordinary people, but they're locked up at home with bored, need to do, because giving people tasks and some sort of competition. I mean, it's even like with this, making the videos and people going away going, oh yeah, I'll make a video and shove it over to Vobes and we'll bung it in the show. It gives people something to focus on.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you've got nothing, or when you tentatively haven't got the motivation that work would normally do. That's interesting. Well, thank you, Mike, for calling in.
Yeah, pleasure.
And explaining that. We better go and show another video.
Yeah, lovely.
But that's really interesting. You're a star.
Yeah, lovely.
Take care. Take
All
care,
right.
Mike.
See you soon.
See you soon.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
There we go. Lovely Mike there, telling us about how to fire up your neuroplasticity. All the neurons in the brain. It sounds absolutely incredible. We will go and have a look at a video in a minute. Let's get rid of the call number there. Lots of chatter going on in the chat room. Linda Keynes is just saying something to Claire. Unfortunately, unless you have really high-level masks and change them very regularly, it won't stop the virus. But I know they give reassurances to those you care for. It's a very, very tricky situation. People giving out the numbers of deaths, which is very good. Your jacket has induced my epilepsy, Richard, says Norton Morris. I apologise for that. Hopefully now you're doing a bit of exercise, though, dancing around the house completely out of control. Make sure you remove all the crockery before. Mickey Bain says, when I first read it, I thought it said crap machine. Oh, and you're talking about one of those CPAP or the CPAP, continuous positive air pressure. Yes, some people use those, don't they, if they've got sleep apnea, I believe. You certainly don't have sleep apnea during my show. At least I hope not. Nigel Sandler says, 16 years ago, I went in for a CPAP assessment, which I failed. But while in the hospital, I picked up a virus that has damaged my lungs. Yeah, that's always very handy, isn't it? I'm convinced that when I went to have my eye looked at, in the process of that, I got the, what was that thing that we were all had in hospital? MRSI, and that caused me severe pain. Everyone's asking where Kevin is. Have we not seen Kevin? He's probably out doing his daily walk of 250 miles, which takes him a long time. Mr. Big says the last caller, Mike Dixon, was excellent. Thank you. I'm so pleased. We do have an educated bunch out there. Robert Baxter says, I was delivering beer to an off-licence the other day. 3 people in the cab quietly working. 3 people. That's not social distance, is it? Let's go and have another look at a video. Today, we'll pung in a bit of nature and make a bit of joy. So our neuroplasticity is working no end. And we do that like this with Vobes viewers' videos. Yes, we're going to have a look at Graham Whittington has sent in a magnificent video which will, with a lot of nature in this, which will calm everything down and get our brains working positively. And there we go. Isn't that lovely? Fantastic. I noticed those ducks were not really practicing social distancing, but then, of course, the disease doesn't actually get to the ducks, which is one good thing. Lots of interesting... I was just scanning the comments there as to try to keep up with everything. Let me just come out of this and go back into the show, which I do by doing that, and nothing untoward happened. Thank goodness for that. Mark Donny McLeod, interesting comment there. Let's just read that out. He says, I have other thoughts on this, not for this place, but let's say I'm not fooled by the government or the BBC or others, but it won't come out for another 60 years when I'm well gone. Send me an email, Mark Donny McLeod, richard@vobes.com. Be interested in your thoughts. I won't broadcast it, but I'm very interested. I just like to, I'm not saying I'm skeptical at all, but I just like to open my ears to other thoughts. There's a lot of people who don't like looking at conspiracy theories and things like that and think that people that do are stupid. But I personally think that it's worth listening to everything, even if you're going to discount it and say that it is rubbish. You've got to listen to other people's point of views, I think, because other people's there may be a germ in that point of view that has some relevance, or you can just easily dismiss it if you know the arguments. But it's definitely worth listening to other points of views. And people are always suspicious that we're not being told everything. And there has been a lot of weird information coming out over this, which then makes it confusing when, I think Boris, compared to a number of people, has been very good in his communication. If you watch how he won the election, for example, get Brexit done, repeatedly the same message, get Brexit done, get Brexit done. And yes, we're hopefully on our way to get Brexit done, but we managed to get out the door, which is good. In my opinion, it might not be for everybody, but that's history now. And then with this one, it's the same message of wash your hands, save the NHS, whatever. I've lost it now. Was it? Stay home, save the NHS, then wash your hands and save the NHS, save lives. That's basically the message, which I have just bastardized. I apologize. But that's very good. But if you look at some of the messages that were going on around the world, I watched a video here where people were in America. There was not the Republicans, the other party, whoever it is, some woman, high echelon woman in the Democrats, was telling people that there was no problem with this virus and to go out and do things. And in Italy, the government there was, in order to stop racist behaviour, was saying go and hug a Chinese person, and look where they are now. So there was all this sort of messages that no, it's not a big problem, it's not going to be anything. And I remember recording A Naked Englishman right at the very beginning when the rumours started coming out to my patrons, and I said, you better be prepared, something big is going to happen. I didn't know whether I was right or wrong, but I knew that this was a serious thing. And then people were saying to me, oh, it's no worse than flu, blah, blah, blah. Now, I have had a long conversation with my sister who put me right on certain things, which is, again, it's not the place to say here. She's a nurse, but she hasn't got the full inside story. But there's a lot of bizarre and weird facts going on, mixing up the whole thing. But the key thing in order, I think, is the fear that we're being given. And it may well be a blunt tool that is used to crack the nut that is necessary. But and I wouldn't go against what the advice is, but I do want to know all the different parts of the puzzle so I can make up my own mind. And I'm not a sheep, but I will obey, and I won't, I'm not going to not practice social distancing, and I'm not going to, get in my car and drive, and not going to, I'm going to obey all the law, but I've just got an open mind. Mark Johnny McLeod also says, keeps you at home, though, and they know what scares you and how to control us now. Yes, that's true. Well, fear has always been the thing. I mean, look at the so-called man-made global warming, the millennium bug, the mini ice age, the hole in the ozone layer, all these things that were coming. And each time they've just made them bigger and bigger and worse. And we're all jumping like mad. And in all these other things, nothing really has happened. So it's interesting. Morton, so I just get back to here. Linda Kane, it's because the agency don't have them, or you go. It's just asking that. Nigel Sadler, done that. Mayor of Florence, Nancy Pelosi, that was the one. Yes, I couldn't bring her I couldn't bring her name to my mind. Thank you, Mike. Mike also says, and we don't end up with a police state, do we? We certainly don't. And there are powers that have just been passed through government, which are very worrying because they've been rammed through. And who knows? But you know, why? Why are we in this weird situation? Well, we kind of know why, or what we've been told. But anyway, the thing is, we won't be able to discuss this because the algorithms will soon ban all of this if we discuss too much of it and get too serious about it. So let us quickly go into something a little less dangerous, although dangerous in a different way. Richard McGowan has been in touch, good old Richard, and he has sent in a video. I'm just going to switch into the video. Here we go. Yes, the Vobes viewers videos. And Richard has sent in an interesting... Now, the sound is only out of one channel, I'm afraid. I'll boost it as much as I can. He has got, on his wall, something fascinating. Let's find out what it is.
I've actually got something to show you that's not on the shelf. It's actually on the wall that some people might be interested in. It is, from what I can gather, mid-1800s Queen Anne screw barrel pistol, percussion pistol. It's a caplock design, and I believe it was manufactured, as I say, in the mid-1800s in the town of Liège in Belgium. Just here. There's a craftsman's mark which enabled me to trace where the gun was actually manufactured and approximately what year the gun was built in. Although the hammer mechanism is actually fractured and broken, it's being held in position by the tension of the spring. You will notice the mechanism still does work. So what would happen is there would be a gunpowder, a cap placed into the hammer here. When the mechanism slams down, it ignites the charge, sends the charge down this piece here, causes the explosion in the barrel, and sends the bullet down the barrel. What is quite amazing is the fact that the mechanism and the trigger still works after it had been lying on the bottom of a lake for possibly 150 years. So that was quite surprising.
There we go, the lovely Richard McGowan there with his gun. Now, if we don't hear from Richard McGowan for a few days, well, maybe the gun was loaded and it went off by mistake. But I'm hoping that that's not the case. There we go. Sorry about that. I just had to answer an emergency message. Not that much of an emergency, but it was an emergency to me. There is a part 2 to this this video. There's a part 2 to it. So if you want to see part 2, I don't know whether there's a thing to put a thumbs up. Let's see if we can get some thumbs up on the show tonight. We managed to do that yesterday. So if we can get everyone to increase the thumbs up, if we get 50 thumbs up, I'll show you part 2 of Richard McGowan's video. That would be absolutely fantastic. We do have an Andrew Norris moment as well, which is fascinating, from Croatia. This was filmed before the lockdown, he wants everybody to know, because he's out and about. And of course, we do want to find out what is going on in Croatia in terms of the lockdown, but possibly there's not very much. So, Andrew, you're very welcome to call in, as it's free to find out. Then if you do that, we'll then go into your video. How about that? The number you need. Hang on, I need to come out of this, don't I? How do I do that? I do this, I do that, I do that. Nothing untoward happened, and I do that. And there we are. 0793 4746 790 is the number. Ramiboo, hello Lisa. She says, by the way, Andrew Murphy's been trying to get me to say hello to him. Hello Andrew, by the way. We got a FedEx package from my aunt today. 8 rolls of toilet paper. Woohoo! Dear, oh dear. Do you know, I write most of my scripts on toilet paper and then I flush them away. Andrew Murphy says, I feel at the moment we're all like these so-called vloggers doing the last to leave the house challenges in real life. I've not seen that. Is that a thing? Where is that? Is that on YouTube? The last to leave the house? Don't know about that one. Audrey Forbes Hamilton says to Laura that A&E is shut, unfortunately. Didn't see the first part of that. Claire Leach thinks that the earth is healing. Yes, I suppose in some ways it is, whilst man is suffering. And Morton Lewis says he's pleased to see that the debate is becoming more sceptical, and that's quite right. I think the trouble is, you see, if you lock people up, or this is what I find very clever, is that we've all self-imprisoned ourselves. We've just agreed, we've been told some stuff, and we've agreed it. We've agreed to it. Now, I'm not saying it's not happening. I'm not saying it's not happening, but what I am saying is, what is interesting is people we've never met tell us to do something and we obey without question. We don't normally do that. That's what I find quite interesting. You've got to trust somebody, and I know for a start that the BBC, people weren't really trusting it. We all said it was biased and this, that and the other. And in a way, who are you going to turn to other in a moment of crisis? The national broadcaster. And of course, it's got the advantage of the whole world is doing it. I'm not saying it's not happening. I'm just looking at the psychological response to what's happening. That, I think, is interesting in its own way. But what else do you do? You can't. What else can you do? Because everyone's complying, and you have to comply, because who are you going to ask? Fortunately, social media is on your side, but social media gives you a whole plethora of different arguments, and it doesn't help that I'm just adding to it. So I'll shut my mouth. Andrew Murphy says they are ubiquitous on YouTube. Just search for Last to Leave and it will bring you loads of results. That's the one thing I'm not going to do, Andrew, because you know how the YouTube works, the algorithm. I'll get bombarded then with just give me a call, Andrew. Give me a call on 0793 4746 790. I'd like to know what that is without actually interrupting my feed, because my feed, I get a load of junk on it anyway. I don't want to get any more. It's like when you search on Amazon for a friend for, I don't know, lube. Lube, that stuff that none of us use, because we're all, oh no, thank you, none of us use any of that lube. But you're searching for somebody else as a gift because they quite like a bit of lube. And then the next thing, you've got all of Ann Summers stuff coming down the line to you. And then anybody looking over your shoulder on your Amazon list is going, oh, what have you been buying, you cheeky, ain't you? So, yeah, Andrew Murphy, give us a call. 0793 4746 790 is the number. Be interested to see what you make of that. Ian Bello says, why do news programmes send reporters out? Are they still sending them out? That would be interesting. I mean, I keep hearing on the BBC how much they tell you, on Radio 4, how much they tell you when everything is recorded. They point out to the point of irritation that they are at the respectable distance, that they are social distancing, or one person is one studio and somebody is at home. I'm at home doing the book. And, the thing is, what will happen is the BBC are going to act, they've been worried that they're going to lose the licence and all of that, or they've got to save money because if they lose the licence, they won't be able to do it. But of course, they'll know now that they can broadcast and make programmes with people not actually leaving their home. They can sell off a lot of the properties that they have and the studios and basically do all of radio over Skype. And the next thing will be television programmes will be just on, all the actors will do things on their phones. And we'll all get to accept this. This is the way it was. And nobody will actually need to leave their home. And there'll be a huge saving to be made, he says. Audrey Forbes Hamilton, armed guards in Italian hospitals. Yes. And what are they armed guards? So they've got guns in their hands. Are they going to use those guns? What does that mean? You've got an armed guard going, don't get too close or I'll shoot. So what? You get close, you may have the virus, you might not have the virus, but you'll definitely get a bullet. So you're going to end up with more deaths from guns, from a trigger-happy person who's going, I don't want the virus because I will get ill because I'm a young, trained, healthy individual eating, whatever the national diet is and doing lots of health stuff. So the chances are he won't die. But if you get a bit too close to him, he'll shoot you. That's interesting, isn't it? Dean Cooper says, lube, are you sure? Got a sticky door hinge. Exactly. Got a sticky door hinge. That's the only reason I would be looking for lube. Yes, they have microscopes on a very long pole. Is that what they do now? Oh my goodness. It'll be, you've heard of keyhole surgery. They'll be using that technique. Let's see who's on the phones. Hello, who's on the phone?
Hello, Richard. It's Andrew Murphy.
It's a moment of Murphy. Hello, Andrew Murphy. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm very good. Thank you very much. Thank you for calling in.
That's okay.
So have you been out for a walk this evening?
Yeah, I went out for a little one. I did. I went up my local park. I got some good shots, which I'm going to edit down and send to you.
Fantastic. Look forward to another moment of Murphy. Those magical moments that make us all smile.
Oh, thank you.
That's all right. Now tell me, at the beginning of your thing, you have this sort of AM, whatever it is, with your logo. Do you do a little radio show or something?
No, it was just something I was bored once and I decided to create a title sequence for any videos that I might create in the future, and I just
created that.
It there. Basically, all I use to edit my videos is Windows Movie Maker.
Well, it works a treat. They are. You don't need anything complicated like the nonsense I use.
But no, I always love watching you every morning. To be honest, I'm getting up for work at the moment.
What do you do? What do you do, Andrew?
Well, basically, I sit on a phone all day and listen to people about their IT issues.
Just say that again. You sit on a phone, did you say?
Yeah, well, I'm on the phone pretty much all day, listening to people about their IT issues and hopefully trying to fix them.
Oh, right. So you're an IT specialist, are you?
I was, I would say my degree is in IT, but basically I'm like service desk, that sort of thing.
Right. Oh, okay. And so what would be what's a typical problem that people are having at the moment?
Such as like people trying to log in from home, really.
Ah, yeah, I can imagine. So tell me, do people get our computers, we've always been for the last 20, 30 years, ever since we've had a computer, been told that we've got to be careful we don't open anything in case it's got a virus.
Yeah.
Are people ringing you up and saying, can I get coronavirus on my computer?
I haven't heard that yet, but if I do, I will definitely let you know.
Yeah, if you do, record the conversation and send it in, because that would be very interesting. It's just that there are a lot of people who are very worried, and there are a lot of people who are not very intelligent, and put the two together, and they might think that, they've opened because I reckon scammers and bad people would send a virus and it would come on the screen and says, your computer's got a virus. Coronavirus! Ha, 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 ha!
Yeah, I think there'd be definitely some some chancers like that who will exploit them for their own benefit.
Yeah, absolutely. What can you do? Tell me before we talk about the last out thing. What's the key policy then about not getting any sort of virus or corruption from the internet?
Basically,
don't open anything. Don't open attachments.
Don't open attachments. Question everything. Just beware, really. That's all I can say on that one.
Okay. So tell me about this YouTube thing that you say is ubiquitous everywhere. What is it? What are these videos?
So you get like these YouTube families and that, and they post, they churn out quite questionable content at times, basically.
But you love it anyway. You love watching them, even though it's questionable. Yeah, go on.
Basically, that they do like last to leave a swimming pool, and they get. I can remember there was one video I think I watched that last to leave gets a puppy, and I think to myself, why would you want to give a pet as a prize?
Hang on a minute. I thought you said last to leave bits of puppy.
No, if it's like there's people on YouTube and that like post videos such as last to leave a swimming pool, last to leave.
So how does that work? What does that mean? You mean they swim? They're in the swimming pool, and they just have to wait till everybody else is gone, and then they can be the last one out.
Pretty much so.
What a dull life that is.
I know.
And so, but then presumably somebody's filming them. Doesn't the swimming pool organisation say to them, "Oi, you can't film in here. There's too many members of the public."
Usually, it's like their own private pool in their backyard.
Oh, I see. And then they're waiting for somebody in the pool that's even more. And you're watching this nonsense?
Well, you've got to fill your time, Richard, at the moment.
You could read a decent book. I'll give you a decent book. Hang on. Just stay there. I'm just going across. I go over here. Here we go. What about something nice and simple for you? I've got this lovely old tome here. It's called Pre-Reformation England by H. Maynard Smith. Let me just give you a flavour of the book for you, okay? This is a very light reading. You could do this just before you go to bed. The Cult of Our Lady, it says here. I've opened this at random. The Church of the Middle Ages not only multiplied rites, but promoted many cults. She knew that all men are not alike, and therefore varied her appeal. She knew that many were ignorant and unintelligent, but she was content to make the best of them as long as they submitted to her rule. Actually, not much has changed there with the current situation.
No, you're quite right there, Richard.
So I'll get that wrapped up and sent it round to you so you don't have to watch all this rubbish about who's last out their own private pool.
Brilliant. I'll definitely look forward to that. Perhaps it'll make me more cultured at the same time.
Yes, either that or asleep a hell of a lot quicker. Anyway, lovely to talk to you. Thank you so much for explaining the law. I won't be looking for those because I certainly don't want any of that crap coming up on my feed.
Definitely. To be honest, I think I might be getting more cultured now.
You keep listening to the Vobes, and you'll get so much culture that you'll need a Petri dish to put it in.
I will, definitely. I've even encouraged my mum to watch the Vogue show, which she's watching right now. Hi, Mum!
What's your mum's name?
My mum's name's Tracy.
Hello, Tracy! Hello, Tracy, my love! How old is your mum?
How
old are you, Mum?
43.
43? And what's her vital statistics? Got her phone number? Oh! Steady on, old chap. Anyway, lovely to talk to you. Thank you so much, Andrew, and we look forward to the next moment of Murphy.
Will do. Take care, everyone.
Take care. Nice to see you. Thanks for calling in.
That's okay. Bye, Richard.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. There we are. Wonderful Andrew Murphy, who will be back. after he is the last one out of the public baths. Who calls them the public baths these days? Fantastic. There we are. It's always lovely to have a phone call. It brightens up the day, doesn't it? Morton Morris is he's talking to Michael Angel. I'm deeply worried. I think we're all worried. Audrey Forbes Hamilton, it's like it in the USA where they all put their hands on a car and the last one gets the car. I don't suppose they can do much of that in the lockdowns unless it's their own family. Everyone's saying, hello, Mum. Hello, Tracy. Claire Leach says, my God, I'm 43. There we go. Robert Croesus says, 43. Is she single? Well, hang on just a minute. I was the first in there. You get your own. You get your own, Mum. Yeah, I should have actually asked Andrew about how lockdown is going with your mum. The other day, here's a true story. Not that anything else I've said is a lie, but it might be a complete fabrication. But yesterday, this is what happened outside. My world is never simple. Outside my house, there am I tackling the hedge that grows out my house. Outside my house, because most of it's dead and there was just this tiny little bit of life in it. And I thought, I'm going to pull up that hedge and sort it out. So I got on and was doing that outside. And all of a sudden, outside my car, I heard this enormous screech and then this massive crunch as if something had been smashed. And I whipped round my head and there's this blue Fiesta. And it's stopped. It's not hit anything, but it must have stopped incredibly abruptly. Like that. And there was a row going on between what looked to me, I couldn't completely see who was in it, but it looked to me like mother and daughter. And there was this argument going on, and it went on for about 15 minutes. And the person driving, who I took to be the mother, was shouting at the younger person, saying, get out of my car, get out of my car. And the younger woman was going, no, I'm not getting out of the car. And anyway, this argument went on a bit more. And then eventually it drove away. And I sort of crept back into my doorway in case they saw me and wanted to throw a brick at somebody. And I just thought, yeah, that's a family who've been together too long and they've not been able to get out of each other's company. And they're having to do everything together. And now they're at ends meet. And I think this is what is going on up and down the countryside. People, I mean, the family, the murdered family in Chichester, we spoke about that yesterday. The abuse that's going on thanks to this lockdown. Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't lock down. I'm not saying that at the moment because I don't know the answer myself because everything's shrouded in confusion. But we do know that people locked up together in 24/7 are going to get, the people who love each other the most are going to be the ones that will inadvertently stick a knife in the other one's chest. And things will go awry. It's rather frightening. So, as it's frightening, let's go over to Croatia, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go over to Croatia, calm ourselves down, and find out from our very good friend Andrew Norris. That's the wrong... I didn't turn it off, didn't turn the video. See, I wasn't concentrating. Our very good friend, Andrew Norris. Am I over there? Yes, I am in there. It's a Vobes viewers video, of course. Let's get our moment, our Andrew Norris moment. In Croatia, where the water is coming.
Hello, Vobesters. I'm back in the village with Zorro. Not that Zorro, with this Zorro. And you can perhaps hear the mechanical diggers are digging trenches to lay water pipes. So this village is finally entering the 21st century. Shall we go? Shall we go? Well, as you can see, they've been digging a trench on this side of the road, which we're very pleased about because last time they dug on this side of the road to make the road and they ripped up all our hedge. Well, despite all the stone in the ground which they have to break up, they're making pretty good progress. They were here yesterday and now they're further round. Look at all the stone. This is what the farmers had to contend with when they were ploughing before. Here you can see the pipes which they're laying. At some point this week, next week, they'll be digging a trench along this road. Given the drop here, they didn't have much room to play with. When they built the road about 7-8 years ago, they straightened this part, which was a bit of a shame really, because the road followed the line of the track previously, and before the track it was a footpath meandering its way through these woodlands. Here you can see where they've already laid the pipes. This road heads off to another village where the main pipe will cross the river. So that was a little tour of the village and the route of the water pipes. And I'm just heading to the river, to the shop and to the cafe.
There we are. Trenches for the dead. No, what am I saying? That's Ed Loud. Oh, that was such a lovely story that there they are, sort of 50 years behind everybody else, finally getting water into the premises, which is maybe even 80 years behind everybody else. Finally getting water. And Ed Loud says, thank God for that. I thought they were getting trenches for the dead. For goodness sake, let's hold this together. Michael Angel says, watch the Lord Assumption video. Yes, that was a fascinating video. I watched that this morning. Somebody sent that over to me. Thank you very much. Interesting gentleman. And I promptly looked him up to find out what books he'd read. And he'd written some interesting history books, which will be on my list, no doubt. Lovely Zorro. Lovely to see Zorro. Thank you, Andrew Norris. That was absolutely superb. And, of course, it was filmed before the lockdown, just in case anybody is upset. But we're interested to get an update from you at some point. And, of course, it's nice to see the countryside, as Philip Hammond has so rightly said. And Jeff Kellison, of course, bringing the truth to the show with such precision, says, I might turn criminal if I have to eat Burger King again. It's the only thing open. Bless you. Where are you, Jeff? We always like to trace where Jeff, our wonderful and generous patron, where he is driving his great big 75-ton truck. Where are you driving at the moment, Jeff? That would be interesting to know. And the Norris music that Robert Baxter says he likes is self-composed, isn't it? It's lovely music. I wish I had the skill to do that. That would be just superb. We've got 79 viewers at the moment. Thank you very much for tuning in on this evening, on Tuesday evening. I like to think that, of course, that if there wasn't a lockdown and that we weren't all bored out of our brains, that you'd be tuning in anyway. But I dare say you'd have something better to do with your life, like go out somewhere. So that's all good. Barry Stevens says he's made a video which he'll be sending in tomorrow, which will be superb. I hope, Barry, you remembered to do it this way, not that way. Don't forget, you can make your own video and send them in to me. This is what this show's thriving on at the moment, and it gives you something to do in the daytime. And I don't mean to sound, what's the word I'm looking for, where you're condescending. Don't want you to be condescending. But no, yeah, on your phone, on a camera, GoPro, whatever you want to use. And the stuff is in the description of how to do it. Send it to me, richard@vobes.com, via the WeTransfer service, which is free. Just makes it easier and it doesn't clog up the email box with lots of data. And then I download it from them and it's all good. We've got another phone call, which is superb. It's going very well tonight. Let's find out who is on the line. Hello, caller.
Hello, Richard. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Who's that?
It's Mark.
Oh, Mark Donny McLeod. Yes, of course. Slowly I will get to recognise all of these, or even the numbers. Cause,
well, there is that.
There is that. So, how are you now?
A lot better. Still a bit snotty and all that business, but we don't want to talk about that.
No, but you sound so much better.
What a wonderful jacket.
Thank you very much. It's too big.
I love that jacket.
It's too big for me. I'll send it up to you.
It might be a bit smaller, mate. I don't know. It's been a lovely day, and it's been a shame that everyone's been locked in. And you were saying just a minute ago before I interrupted you about what would we all be doing if we weren't locked in?
Yes. What would
at the moment? I would have been working.
And what do you do?
Well, I'm freelance, so I work with agencies. I do pastry, so
Oh, yes,
sometimes
that's
I
right.
work in a hotel, making posh stuff, posh cakes and that.
Oh, lovely.
Other places, I'm making bread in a bakery. It's nice to get a change rather than being in one place all the time
Oh, I couldn't
when you
agree
get
more.
bored.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
did that for years. I worked in the same restaurant at the same hotel for years and years. It bored the living out
Yes,
of
because
me.
the menu
So
presumably is the same all the time.
the other thing I would have been doing if I weren't in, you see, weekends, I would have been packing up my tent, sticking it in the back of the trailer of my bike, getting up in the moors, and having a nice time camping. You see.
Oh, lovely. It's a shame you can't do that because you'd be self-isolating, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. This is the thing. It's kind of why do they want you off? In my mind, it says why do they want you off the streets? Why do they want you separated? Why can't you go out if you're on your own?
Yes.
See, the whole point that they're saying is we want you on your own so you're not with other people so you can spread this virus. So if you're on your own and you're in the middle of nowhere, how are you doing the problem?
Exactly. I mean, I think people are beginning to question this because they will be sitting at home, and we know what they're trying to. The objective is to not get certainly the vulnerable people of any age to be infected, so that they overrun the NHS, and this has been poured down our throat, and as a consequence, it's to save lives.
Yeah.
And I suppose from their
Then you
point
go
of
then you go to the hospital with a broken leg, and they say, "Bugger off," because we're only looking after people with virus.
yes, well, this is
Take die with that broken leg.
this
Fantastic.
is absolutely. I mean, that is the fear. Whereas if you can keep the public happy by letting people go off and camping and stuff, but of course, now they've got the drones going out, and so you're just having a picnic with your friends, not with your friends, with your family as a unit, and even that's being frowned on. It's a very, I can understand from the authority because they would just rather put everyone in a box, wait for the period of time that the virus would eventually die, and then let everybody out. But we're talking about human beings.
Yeah. And the thing is, even if you went back to, 1604? The Great Plague?
The Great Plague?
Yeah. Well, people were still getting fed. People were still doing the fields and gleaning in the harvest and all that. Now, if these people weren't working, what are they doing out there?
David Hawkins. David
Hawkins says it's a double standard, isn't it?
It's true. David says that he guesses the government's argument would be that if you have an accident while you're in the countryside, you'd be using up resources. But I don't know what the accident rate is of people at home. There was a research done, wasn't it? There was a lot more accidents when people would do it yourself.
There's more accidents
in the home,
apparently, in the kitchen and in the bathroom.
Yes, and when you've got
this is the other one, a very high proportion apparently of accidents in the home are trouser related. Trouser related accidents.
Is that
when you're trying to put your trousers on,
right?
And you're hopping around, we've all done it.
We've all done it.
Anyway, I'm going to let you go.
Okay.
That's it, show. Thank you very much for what you're doing and keeping everybody's spirits up. It's fantastic.
Well, I hope we are keeping their spirits up. I know we try to keep off the subject, and then of course it is the elephant in the room, so we end up talking about it again.
That's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I hope everybody's fine. Has a good time. Stay safe, people.
Yeah, look after yourself, Mark.
Look after yourselves. You too. Thank you. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. Bye. There we are. That was lovely, Mark, Donny McLeod. Interesting point, that, though. I think both are right. The government's argument would be that if you have an accident, you've got to have the resources. Ambulance are out there and people are looking for you. Completely get that. But also, people do have accidents at home. And the more frustrated that you get as time goes on, the more likely you're going to get frustrated. And if in order to occupy yourself, you start doing things that you wouldn't normally do, so you might get a plumber in to fix that tap, but you're going to have a go because you haven't had any work and you don't know when you're going to get paid, so you're going to do it yourself, and then the knife slips or whatever it is, the saw slips and you slice your finger off. Does make you, 66 million people trapped inside. You can't tell me that they're not going to have accidents. It beggars belief. There's just so many different ways of skinning this cat. Dave, Barry, Stephen, no, they're all talking to each other, so that's okay. Clearly, he says, I think a lot of people are treating it as a holiday. So many pictures of people with a beer in their hand going around Facebook. Well, are they having a beer in their back garden? It is a holiday, and if you can't go to work, what are you supposed to do? If you can't go to work and you're at home and you're not used to being at home, what are you supposed to do? It's easy to say, read a book, watch some YouTube, but people who don't normally do anything like that, who are used to getting up and doing things, will find this very difficult. And it's not going to, you can't just say, well, deal with it, because unless you've got a man with a gun pointing at you, how do you deal with it? People will drink. They will drink. I agree, there's going to be pictures of people who are flouting the rules. But actually, that will be a very small minority that's blown up by the media to make it look like much more of a majority. But it won't be the majority. Most people will obey and most people will be fairly okay. But there will still be accidents at home and arguments and murders and rapes and suicide and all sorts of things that on the sound of it, you just wouldn't want to be involved. And I feel sorry for the children, the innocent children who are bored, upset their father or mother and get a whack or a smack because they don't understand. And they're just children. And this is probably happening up and down the land after a week. People are going to be... it's just... it's just going to be the case. Of course there's going to be families who won't do that. But the trouble is we have child abuse going on in this country when everything is supposedly working properly, where there are psychiatrists and psychologists and social workers and all of that. But there is going to be behind the doors so many things. And I know that you can say, but there's all these vulnerable people. They mustn't get the virus. Well, what about the children who are being slapped and hurt and having their childhood ruined? Aren't they vulnerable people? How are you classing these vulnerable people? Just because you know that person of that situation, however vulnerable, whatever age, whatever sex, whatever race, whatever, is now they're the important ones because they might get the virus. But what about all the other people? The suicidal person who's got the bottle of whiskey who's decided to walk under a bus, the child that's just been pushed out of the flat window 3 stories up because the father is just sick of it, the baby that won't stop crying, that is suddenly just had his head is shaken to death or something. How about those vulnerable people? Are they as vulnerable, or is there one rule for one lot of people because they're scared of getting the virus and they may not get it, and they may, if they look after themselves, be okay, or they may get it and it may be a horrible and nasty and agonising death? But what about all the other people who are being locked up? And what about all the babies that are going to be born to parents who are then had that night of passion to get over an argument, who suddenly have decided that they hate each other and now have got no mother and father together anymore? What about them? This is where this thing is just too much. I'm sorry, I've got rather passionate about that. And I'm gonna stop there and go to another video. Who have we got? Who can calm me down? I know who we'll go to. This will calm us all down, ladies and gentlemen. This will calm us all down. We will go over to Ian Beddoes. Now, Ian Beddoes has got, I think you called it an orchestration, which is a mechanical instrument. Now, I'm going to show you. Let me show you some pictures first of all of the orchestration. How do I get in there? Wait a minute. I thought that was. Oh yes. No. How do I get into the orchestration bit? I might have to do this the old way round. Here we go. This is the unit opened up. Here it is. This very strange looking thing, a musical instrument. Let's get another picture. Here's another picture. This is the upper half of it, and it's sort of a one-man band, mechanical one-man band. It's quite amazing. L. Jacob somebody Hoffelrant Stuttgart, if you can work that bit out. And there it is. There it all is. Isn't that marvellous? That's absolutely fantastic. So let's find out what that's like when we're playing it. I've got to get back into the videos. So here it is, the Vobes viewers videos. Yes, and this is, where is it? Where have I put you? Down here. This is what it sounds like, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, sorry, I just fell about laughing there. Mr. Big says this was the soundtrack to my nightmare last night. There you go. This is what Ian Beddoes has got to cart across the road, and he says he's got somewhere in his house for it. This is amazing. Thank you so much, Ian, for sending that in. IB, as I know him, used to call into the old Vobe show. Fantastic. Right, we are well behind on our time, over the slot, hour and a half again. We're going to end with another video, final video of the evening. Thank you for everybody who's been sending in the videos. It's been absolutely superb. I really appreciate that. This is Brian Matthews, who I think you went to Chichester Del Key. You didn't actually tell me where you went, but using a bit of detective work, I've managed to work out exactly where you are. So let's have a little light relief from one nightmare tune to hopefully something a little bit more favourable. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, it ends rather abruptly, but there it is. Brian Matthews, and looking at the comments there, everybody's saying that it's definitely Del Key, which is just south of Chichester Harbour Way. How fantastic. First, I thought it was Bosham, but it wasn't Bosham, of course. But that sort of neck of the woods, and what a lovely day. And as somebody else said, outside world again. Fantastic. And the Crown and Anchor. Who's been in the Crown and Anchor to have a drink? During that, we had a phone call, ladies and gentlemen. Let's find out who's on the phones. Hello.
Raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens, bright copper kettles and warm woolen mittens, brown paper packages tied up with strings. These are a few of my favourite things. Is that better?
Yes, there we go. That's one of those whiskers on kittens moments.
Yeah, I thought you might need a little bit of a perk up after that.
I certainly did need a perk up. Thank you so much. That's so kind. I'm afraid I missed a little bit. It was coming over the It was coming over the microphone from the phone rather than through the system. But we got it.
Okay.
So how are you, lovely Julia?
Oh, bored brainless, but everybody is. So
yes,
yeah.
Yes. What with the show? You mean?
No, Nana. One thing, like I said before, you're keeping us all going.
Oh, bless you. And so, how is little Joseph?
Yeah, he's been getting grouchier and grouchier as the days go on. He's just not used to being stuck indoors.
No.
So, poor little thing. He did enjoy a nice little trip out to the garden today. Whoop!
And what about Elijah, your eldest son?
Yeah, he's doing okay. I mean, he's doing chores for computer time, which is good. But I'm not able to get him to do any of his schoolwork. He says he's been doing it online.
Yeah. Have you managed to go out with him just down to the beach or just round the park or some sort of...
No, because every time we've gotten ready, the weather's changed and we're like, ugh.
Oh, that's a shame. That's a shame. Yeah. And I know it's a tricky old thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And how is hubby?
Yeah, he's okay. He's quite stoic at the moment, but his father, who actually has COVID-19, up in Birmingham, has taken a turn for the west this afternoon.
So so Chaz must be going up the wall with worry then if his father has got COVID-19. You said he's gone a turn for the worse.
Yeah, he's been on a respirator in hospital for 7 days now.
Blimey.
Now they say it's usually about 10 days on a respirator for recovery. But yeah, he's, like I say, taken turn for us. He's now got secondary infections on his lungs and kidneys. So any hopes and prayers? Much appreciated, guys.
Yes, no, well, we definitely send all our hopes and prayers. And goodness, that must be very tense atmosphere then, because presumably Chaz is biting his nails and I guess he can't do anything. I mean, he can't go to the hospital.
No, none of the family can.
And he can't go and visit the rest of the family.
Nope.
Is there any chance that the rest of the family might have it if his father's got it?
Well, I assume that they've not exhibited.
Right.
And I assume that they've already had it if they had.
Right.
It probably came from one of the kids because I mean they can have it without even noticing really.
Yes.
From reports that I've heard and seen, but yeah.
So I mean, I'm trying to put myself in that place, and I don't, I think that I would be in the car driving up. I mean, I would be talking to my family and saying, if the family is healthy, and I would be taking that risk to go and see my loved one. It must be, and I'm not, that's not me saying, I'm not judging or anything in your situation, just saying in my situation, what would you do? And of course, it's easy to speculate when you're not in that situation. You say, oh, well, this is what I would do. And of course, it would be different in there. Has Chaz ever talked about that?
Well, the trouble is, if they have had it or got it, if he goes there, there's a chance that he could then pick it up if he hasn't already had it or got it.
No. But he might want to.
In which case, he puts himself and the kids in danger.
Yeah, but he might. So in other words, you were saying he'd have to stay there.
Yeah, he would have to stay there.
He wouldn't be able to come back.
He's got a business down here that he's still trying to get going. Of course, it's kind of stagnating at the minute. What with the lockdown, but. Whiskers on kittens, and
just give us that.
Ponies and apple strudels.
Give us that verse one more time, just so that we can end the show on a happy note.
Okay. Raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens, bright copper kettles and warm woolen mittens, brown paper packages tied up with strings. These are a few of my favourite things.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Julia, for that. And I apologise for having a bit of a rant in the middle of the show.
No worries, no worries. I could see you winding yourself up and digging yourself in a hole.
Yes, I didn't want to didn't want to upset anybody, but anyway, thank you so much, and send our everybody's good love to Chaz and of course yourself. But it's obviously...
Thank you everyone for all the messages on the top on the live chat there. Thank you guys.
Absolutely. I mean, if you need as much love and affection as we can all give you to help you through this difficult time.
I think we all need a lot of loving right now.
Well, yes. I mean, people all over the place are on tenterhooks, and we're all trying to do our best. However that comes out, whether it does occasionally come out as a bit of a rant as you're trying to get it out your system, or whether it's a song, we're all just trying to survive. Is what we're all trying to do in a myriad of different ways. Thank you, Julia. But hopefully we'll talk to you tomorrow on tomorrow's show on a completely different subject, which would be lovely. Yes.
Lovely.
Yeah, you take care.
And you. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Good night. Good night. There we are, the lovely Julia checking in. We do miss the lovely Julia here on the show. If she was sitting in next to me doing the show, then obviously I wouldn't be allowed to get into a rant and get too overboiled and excited. Well, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. We got through all the videos. It's all been very good. Thank you so much for everybody who has sent in a video. And for IB for sending in the photos of the orchestration, or whatever it was called. Excellent. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow, same time, same place, and more of the same. Hopefully, more jolly. And if you want to send your videos in, don't forget you can do that. Thank you for putting on the likes. We didn't quite get 50 likes, so we didn't quite get to have our extra video, but that's okay. And I'll be back with a curious video first thing tomorrow morning, a curious video for you to enjoy, and then hopefully another walking video in the afternoon on the Bald Explorer page. And I'll be doing a reading in the morning as well from JB Priestley. Oh, I didn't realise JB Priestley was from up north. I could have got Mark Donny MacLeod to read this, lad. But he's from up north, see, and he talks... I don't know whether I've got anything near the accent. I don't know whether I'm going to do JB Priestley's reading. It would make it much more interesting for me, but probably a lot more duller. Oh, it'd be such a dullard. You'll be a dullard, you lad. Yes, maybe I'll just stick to my own... voice, which is a bit safe. April Fool's Day tomorrow, says Mike Stevens. Yes, let's hope that Boris comes out and says it was all a joke. Yes, how angry would we be? That's it. Take care. Thanks for watching. Look after yourselves. Until tomorrow. Bye for now. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, he says, pressing the button, and nothing happens. Oh, I know why. Oh, no, I pressed the... I'll leave you in peace. Goodbye.